friends, my name is KVR Prasad and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to learn about the sinking of the Titanic. I'm sure many of you have heard about the luxury passenger liner Titanic that hit an iceberg 110 years ago and sank to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. A lot of people died on the Titanic, so it is a famous ship. So first, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of Titanic. Then I'm going to give you a detailed explanation of the sinking of the Titanic. So let's jump right in. Introduction. The Titanic was a luxury passenger liner in 1912. It sank on April 14th to 15th, 1912. There were over 2,200 people on board. Over 1,500 people died in the tragedy. It was built in Belfast, Ireland. It was 882 feet long, 175 feet tall, and 28 meters wide. So that's a big ship. Titanic weighed about 48,000 tons. Titanic was the biggest ship at that time. For the people who don't know how Titanic looks, so here's a photograph of the Titanic before it left port from Southampton, England. So let's jump right in into the sinking. On the boat deck, the lifeboats were there, and in the old object, the workers were there. Between, there were rooms for the first, second, and third class passengers. On April 10th, 1912, Titanic left port from Southampton, England, bound to New York. It stopped at Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, Ireland. On April 14th, 1912, 11:39 p.m., Fredwood Fleet, the lookout on Titanic, spotted an iceberg. He shouted, "Iceberg right ahead. Hard starboard, full speed of stern." On April 14th, 1912, 11:40 p.m., Titanic hit the iceberg. It began to sink. In case you didn't know, the designer of Titanic was Thomas Andrews. So this is a painting of Titanic. So this is what it looked if you saw the Titanic hitting the iceberg at that time. After Titanic started to sink, the lifeboats were lowered at 12:40 a.m. The passengers thought that there were enough lifeboats for everybody, so they were reluctant to go into the lifeboats. So the passengers thought, why would you go into a small cold lifeboat and rather than staying on a big warm ship? They thought that. But as eventually as the sinking progressed, they felt a little bit more comfortable to go into the lifeboats. So this is a picture from the James Cameron movie 1997. You can see the lifeboats are being lowered now. So yeah. As the sinking progressed, the ship began to tilt or list 5 degrees to the left or port side. So, in ship language, instead of saying left, we say port, and instead of saying right, we say starboard. So, get used to that. After some time, the ship started to list, increasing to 9 degrees. The ship's list started to balance out and also raised the ship a few feet above the water. You see, as the water progressed into the starboard side of Titanic, the water kind of fell over to the left side or port side of Titanic and started to list. And finally, it stabilized, raising it a few feet above the water. This caused confusion as the people on the left or port side thought the ship was sinking fast, while the people on the right or starboard side of the Titanic thought that they still had more time to go into the lifeboats before the ship completely sank into the ocean. So, on the left side or port side, the Titanic was listing or leaning that side. So the people on that side thought the Titanic was sinking too fast and we have to lower the lifeboats quickly, and they were panicking. On By the way, on the right side, it was raised out of the water as the left side was sinking on that side. So people on that, they still had time and they were not as panicking as the port side people. So this is an animation from Honor and Glory of the Titanic. You can see the Titanic listing on that port side. As the sinking progressed, Titanic's ballast tanks started to weigh down, causing the ship to sink faster. It is now 12:58 a.m. and the first distress calls were sent. Titanic began its final plunge. It is 1 hour later at 1:40 a.m. and the bridge, the wheelhouse, and the captain's quarters started to go under. The bridge was the place where all the controls of the ship and maps were kept. People started panicking as there were only 20 lifeboats and 16 of them had left. Collapsible lifeboats C and D were launched. Collapsible lifeboat A was launched with so much cold water inside it, and collapsible B fell from the headquarters upside down like that. Just a second. So you can see the Titanic. You can see the first funnel, collapsible lifeboat A over here, and collapsible lifeboat B on the side. And now you will see the first funnel fall. As the sinking progressed, the first funnel started to go under. The ropes that were holding the first funnel began to snap of the pressure of the water. The funnel still held on thanks to the suction of Titanic sinking. The people in the collapsible lifeboat A and B watched in terror as the ropes of the funnel started snapping one by one. The funnel started to fall, pushing collapsible lifeboat A and B away from the Titanic. This also caused more water to flow inside collapsible lifeboat A. So you can see you can see the first funnel falling now. It's right there, and you can see collapsible lifeboat A are out of screen. So it is now. So Titanic is now at its final plunge. As the sinking progressed, a boiler room inside the Titanic started to fill up with smoke. The smoke started to build up, causing the boiler room to bulge. After some time, the pressure was too much and the boiler room exploded. This boiler room was right underneath the second funnel, causing steam to come out of the funnel. This made the funnel very hot and also made the ropes snap due to the heat. The funnel started to fall with a fire at the top of it. This caused the structure of the Titanic to weaken and crack, and the Titanic's hull then started to plunge even more as the crack let in more water. So you can see, just a second. You can see the fiery glaze at the top of the second funnel, and it's also fell. Now it's time for the breakup. As the sinking progressed, the pressure on the Titanic's hull increased as the bow was full of air and water. As the bow was full of water and heavy, while the stern was full of air. The heavy bow pulled the Titanic down, while the air-filled stern pulled the Titanic back up. This put pressure on the Titanic's hull and superstructure, causing it to bend and buckle. The pressure between the third and fourth funnel and between the collapsed second funnel became too much. After all of this pressure, then at 2:17 a.m., Titanic broke, causing the third funnel to fall and the superstructure The third and beneath the third funnel got ripped apart and shattered into pieces, like the famous big piece. So you can see it was a tug of war as the bow wanted to go down and the stern wanted to go up. When the shattered remnants were joined together, it looked like a tower, so they named it the aft tower, as in aft means back. So you can see the Titanic breaking apart. Just a second. So now you can see the Titanic breaking. You can see the aft tower, the third funnel is falling, and the collapsible lifeboat A is just right by. So it's time for the final plunge of the stern. After the breakup of Titanic, the stern stayed floating in the water for 1 minute and started to sink. You'd think at this point the fourth funnel would have collapsed, but no, the fourth funnel was still holding on even after the breakup. It is time for the final plunge. The stern slowly starts to raise itself higher and higher into the air. The fourth funnel finally fell, and the Titanic started to spiral in the water and sink. Then at 2:20 a.m., the ship submerged into the water. Then at about 4 a.m., the ship Carpathia came to rescue the survivors. Only 706 people came to rescue the survivors, and only 706 people out of the 2,200 people survived the tragedy. The ship Carpathia dropped off the survivors at New York. The passengers that survived were left with many stories to tell. Just a second. So you can see this is an animation of the Titanic, of the stern of the Titanic sinking and spiraling into the water. This is the ship Carpathia, which rescued the Titanic survivors. So, in summary, the Titanic was one of the worst tragedies in history. Over 1,500 people died, and only 706 people survived to tell the story. After this tragedy, many countries enforced the law of having ice patrol so that no more tragedies like this could happen ever again. Ships were allowed to have lifeboats for everybody on board. Thank you. KVR, this presentation was made by KVR Prasad, which is me. Watch my YouTube channel KVR Prasad Bagalkot. Thank you. Also, like and subscribe the video and share this video. Thanks. Bye.